but still a disappointing sequel, not what we wanted to see. There had to be a better ending for the cinematic badass, Miss Ellen Ripley. In space, no one can hear you scream. This shit doesn't make a bit of sense. Somehow that xenomorph queen hit 2 eggs and there's no defense for the bait and switch they tossed on the screen. Fox promised aliens on Earth in the trailer. Instead, Ripley landed on a prison colony in Tywin. Lannister nailed her right in the Alien 3. Not the worst movie, but still a disappointing sequel and not what we wanted to see. There had to be a better ending for the cinematic badass, Miss Ellen Ripley. Killing off New and Hicks was a ballsy move. One of the bad ideas Weaver would approve. Ditched them just like she did her head of hair. Things were more mean-spirited than actual scares. The guy from Rock co-starring with a bunch of Brits. Directed by David Fincher in a production so shit he refused to discuss the film and pretty much disowned it. Due to studio interference running wild. Unhappy with the finished product is putting it mild. That Alien 3, not the worst movie, but still a disappointing sequel and not what we wanted to see. There had to be a better ending for the cinematic badass, Miss Ellen Ripley. So Ripley finds out she's got a queen in her chest and doesn't have much time to kill it before it lays an alien nest. Or Wayland Yutani manages to steal it. There was no other option. Ripley had to die, she had to fry, and the series wrapped up with that one, as they would just let things lie with Alien 3. Not the worst movie, but still a disappointing sequel and not what we wanted to see. There had to be a better ending for the cinematic badass, Miss Ellen Ripley. My honey, my baby, my ragtime gal. Fox still wants more movies with Ripley, and this franchise is going to hell, to hell, to hell. And
was it not done?
No, I just repeated. I had the loop function on.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
you looped it.
I always loop de loop. I know that's not a roller coaster.
It's what he does. It's
Exactly.
an Austinator thing.
It's a me thing, guys. It's fine. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Alien 3 time. 1992, David Fincher's worst nightmare. It's the Alien 3 roundtable. We had a pleasant first 2 roundtables. Unfortunately, this week, maybe not so much. But again, who knows? Maybe we actually have positive things to say about this movie. But of course, I am joined by the usual suspects. We got Shifty Gizm and we got Chris Knight. Chris Knight 5150. How's it going, gentlemen?
Going well.
Going well. Yep.
Wow. That's very, very good, guys. Very good. I'm glad everybody's doing okay. I watched both Alien 3. I watched the theatrical cut last night, and I actually watched the assembly cut. Literally as before the stream was going to start, I finished it. I got a lot to say. But before we do that, I'm going to let everybody go around the... Oh, I do. I very, very much do. I'm going to let everybody go around the panel real quick, let everybody know where they can find themselves at. We'll start with Shifty. Where can they find you at, sir?
Hey, on Thursday nights at 8:30, you can find me on the Collectible Pass Toy Show on Vinny Art and Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. They let me out of my duties tonight to be here because Austinator's got to go on vacation. So I'm here talking about Alien because I love Alien just as much as I love toys, and I had to weigh things out. And on Sundays, you can find me on that guy down there's channel and all of his channels that he does and he has for Sunday Fun Day, Jackbox Night, weekly wrap up.
And, yeah.
Yes, weekly wrap up and all that stuff. We play Jackbox. It's fun. Come join us. A lot of fun. Come play.
It is.
Very good.
It was especially fun.
good.
Especially fun is when we're playing Murder Mystery Party, and I sneak right past everybody and I win the game.
Don't you love it when that happens?
I love it.
No, because I'm always the one that's in the lead and gets screwed. Always.
Well, massive L. Chris.
Always.
Massive L. Yeah.
I blame Shifty.
Oh, always.
He cheats.
Just like you cheat.
Well,
I do not cheat. I do not cheat. I don't cheat. There's no need to cheat. I'm cheating. Awesome.
When he's looking over to the corner of the screen, he's not cheating. He's watching the Royals game.
I was. I showed you. I was actually watching the Royals game that day. I was like, people are going to be like, why is he looking at his phone? Because I'm watching the Royals. I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball.
Baseball is indeed fun. It is America's favorite pastime besides football.
Well, that's what they say. We know that's not true anymore. Although, since they've changed the rules and added a pitch clock and don't let them step off the batter's box out of the batter's box every 2 seconds, it's literally cut down the time of most games by like an hour and a half. It's crazy the amount of time that they've cut down. So it's actually slightly better than lethargic.
So there's still like 5 hours.
I have no idea what you just. No. I don't know what you were talking about there, Chris. I'll be honest.
I said, I was just saying that the games are now slightly better than lethargic.
Oh, well, all right. That makes more sense. See, sometimes you have to dumb down sports talk like I'm 5. Like I only know the basic stuff.
Bat, hit, ball, go, boo.
All right, fair enough. I totally understand the game of baseball now. Chris, tell everybody what they find you at.
Well, as Shifty so graciously told you, I do have a show called The Weekly Wrap Up, which is also what?
Who's giggling?
It's my phone. That's actually Michael Winslow from Spaceballs. You know, the beeps.
Oh. The beeps. Yeah, okay.
The creeps. My mom asked me that the other day when I was driving her somewhere, and I had to play the clip. Anyways, the weekly wrap up, which is also Honstar's Sunday Fun Day or Jackbox Game Night. Those are two different things, but can be the same thing. 3 different things, but can be the same thing altogether. Also, I do one of the 3 shows over on Chaos Central. The first show is the first Monday of the month, and that is Danny Graham's. We just did that one last week. It's called The Chaotic Conversation. And then this week, it's the Chaos List, which is Onzo of Bigger Ford Entertainment's show. This week, we'll be discussing Superman, which today I saw for the 4th time, so that was nice.
Lucky you, Chris.
Yes.
The 4th time?
I saw it 2 months ago before it was finished. I saw it Tuesday. And I saw it twice today. I saw it once this morning, and then I took my kids to see it at 2:00.
Holy crap.
Wow. Must have been that good, Chris, for you to go see it twice in one day.
I didn't have to pay for it, so it's not like it really matters to me. And if I'm going to review it, I want to make sure that I see the parts that I have issues with.
Oh.
So,
it's all right.
Anyways.
It's all right, Chris. We all know you have a crush on Nathan Fillion. It's all right.
Well, do you blame me?
No. I mean...
see, now I've exposed you.
That bold cut.
So the 3rd Monday of the month, we do my show, which is The Rule of 3. I also have a few other shows out there. I haven't done them for a while, but we are working on getting them back. That is The Rumble, The Gospel According to Chris. Name That Tune. And we might have another show possibly coming over to Honstar YT soon. I'm not sure. We've got some ideas. But do a lot of things. I also have Knight Rider, which is kind of where I drive around and I talk, which is pretty regular. I like to talk if you haven't figured that out. Just how it is.
Oh, trust me. We all know, Chris. We know you love to talk.
But that's because I say such great things. See? You see?
Nothing's wrong with having a crush on Nathan Fillion, Vile Mike. I'm just doing it to troll Chris a little bit.
What's going on?
Yes.
They don't.
What's up, Vile Mike? Is that all, Chris? You got any more?
I mean, yeah. Oh, sure. I can go on for days.
I know you can, but that's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, there was this one time in band camp that
Now, hold on a minute there. I'm gonna have to stop you there because we all know nothing good happens at band camp.
Oh, but it does.
Oh, yeah.
At least nothing at least nothing that would probably get us. It probably
got my first. Hey, it's how I had my first kid. Now the question is do you go really sick and twisted and demented on that, or do you think, hey, that's how he had his first kid?
You know what? I think I'm going to go with option C, which is I'm going to try and steer away from this conversation before we get kicked off the platform.
Smart move. Let's move right this way. Talk about Alien 3.
Yes. I'll plug my stuff at the end.
No, go ahead.
All right.
No, plug yourself now.
All right, fair enough. You can find me on my channel for the Alien Roundtables. This is pretty much replacing the wrestling show because wrestling sucks right now, and I'd rather talk about Alien, to be honest with you. You can find me on...
The crazy thing is there's a pay-per-view and Saturday night's main event this weekend, and we're not talking about it.
Exactly. Because, Shifty, would you rather talk about Alien... Would you rather talk about Alien 3 or would you rather talk about Goldberg, bro? Come on.
Well, I don't. You got a point there because they're going to give the belt to Goldberg probably on Saturday. So let's talk about Alien.
See, I never lead you astray, Shifty. I never do. You can find me sometimes on Chris Knight's channel for the weekly wrap up, where I'm very rusty because I haven't played Jackbox. Well, I haven't played What the Dub in a while, and Jackbox I haven't played. Some of those Jackbox games are very scuffed anyway, so I'll be back. I'll be unrusty in a short time. You can find me on other channels. Basco Scenario for the Hangout, usually on Wednesdays. My internet allows it, and I'm on Storms Nation on Sundays. I'm pretty much just everywhere, so just check me out when you can. And we're about 13 minutes in. We stretched out enough time at the beginning here without talking about Alien 3, so I guess we'll talk about Alien 3. We'll start with our overall thoughts, and you know what? Since I'm feeling, I'm going to start with Shifty. What are your overall thoughts on Alien 3?
Oh, good Lord. Oh, God. I got a long list of them. Hey, Alien 3, initial thoughts, teaser promo. It featured, it was like, hey, guys, we're going to bring the aliens to Earth. You think you'll be interested in this? And then they didn't do it. And everybody was pissed. It was like a big old teaser. Everybody's telling me like aliens on Earth, they're coming. They didn't come. They're coming now to Earth in the show that we're getting ready to watch. But back in '92, they didn't come. You really need, since you watched the original cut, the theatrical cut, and the assembly cut, you need to go study up on all those scripts that they passed up to make this movie. They had some really wild ideas, like Hicks and Bishops and Newt aboard this outer space shopping center while Ripley was in cryo sleep, and like there's a civil war that broke out. There's a radio drama about that on YouTube. Michael Biehn and Lance Henriksen came back to do it. I've only listened to a bit of it, but it sounds really good. I think it's like 4 hours long, though. There was another script that had a wooden planetoid where a monastery was, and the monks there, they worship the alien. That was another cool idea they passed on. Michael Biehn was super pissed about Hicks' death, and he got paid more for the likeness in one shot than he did for the entire movie Aliens. So because he got his agent on that. And man, he was really ticked that they killed him off. There was a lot of heavy marketing and merchandise push around this film and to lead up. They had the Kenner toy line, which was awesome. It was supposed to coincide with a cartoon series, but that didn't get off the ground because they were kind of backtracking on making rated R movies into cartoons for kids. They had done it in the 80s with RoboCop and Rambo and stuff like that, but they thought Aliens was just a little bit too much for the kids. A bunch of Alien 3 video games came out. They range from really bad to great. The Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games are both awesome. They're completely different games. If you can play those, awesome there, pick them up or play them any way you can. They're great. There was a Pepsi ad with a xenomorph. It was really cheesy. It actually diminished it cheapened the image of the creature, and that was one of the reasons why Ridley Scott wanted to back away from the xenomorphs in Prometheus, because he felt they had just they had been cheapened. David Fincher, music video director, great music video director, was hired for this film. It's his first film, had a bad experience, studio interference. Never spoke about this film outside of passing reference in a recent interview. He didn't take place in the creation of the assembly cut, which added about a half hour's worth more scenes back in the film. I watch this film like once every 5 years or so, and this is like the third time I've seen the assembly cut, which isn't perfect, but it's a much better version of the theatrical cut, which certain media outlets back in the day were adamant that this was one of the worst sequels of all time. Um, and there was really no point to it other than a cash grab. I mean, they were really harsh to it. Um, but the assembly cut adds so much back into the film as far as giving the various prisoners a moment to shine. They don't come off as random Brits getting killed off left and right like they did in the theatrical cut. And it also helps that several of those guys have become better known over the decades, to where, like, if you're watching it now, oh, that guy was in Mindhunter. Oh, that's that dude from The Lost World Jurassic Park. So, you're spotting guys, and, they're not just like random Joes getting killed off. But yeah, it's a good film after they fixed it, but I still don't know if it was necessary. It's not what most fans wanted. And I think I like it a bit more each time I watch it. I think it's got a better first half than second half. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts and tidbits.
All right. Very good. Very good. Chris, your overall thoughts on Alien 3?
Easiest and quickest thing I can say about this is, for everything this movie could have been, it wasn't. There were a lot of misses on the original cut. Like 50 said, the assembly cut helps. I think it helps make sense of the chaos that the actual original cut was. It helps kind of make it somewhat a coherent movie. And again, David Fincher does not talk about this movie because basically the studio made the decisions. He didn't. And so there was a lot of rewrites. There's a lot of changes. There was a lot of, no, you can't do it this way. We want it this way. A lot of people blame this on Sigourney Weaver. I don't think she had anything to do with where this movie ended up. She had ideas, and I think she put her ideas out there, but I don't think they listened to her any more than they listened to the director. And this probably was, I would say this is where movies started, the producers and the studios having more say than a director. So back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, all that, the director really was the one that controlled the movie. Then the producers, which if you don't know what a producer really is, it's a fancy title for they have money and stake into what's going on. So it's where money started coming into play, where the producers and the studio were like, this is our money, we want this. And this is why David Fincher does not talk about this movie, is because it was a horrible experience for him. He wasn't able to even try to put out there. I think the best maybe way to say that the best parallel to this movie would be something like Piranha 2, the John, what?
Superman 2. Superman 2.
or
and
Superman
what happened
2.
with Richard Donner.
Not even Superman 2, because Superman 2, even when Lester finished it, wasn't a horrible movie.
No.
Piranha 2, James Cameron was basically railroaded. He asked his name to be taken off the film because he didn't really even do a lot of it, and they left his name on there. So it kind of has that feel to it, as far as the way that they basically just told David Fincher, you're doing this. And that's why he stayed far apart. I'd be very interested to see if they have a lot of the 35 millimeter stuff left over. Is he the one that helped with the assembly cut, or was that fans?
No.
No.
It was fans, wasn't it?
The studio.
Was it the studio?
It was just
Okay.
the studio. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what he would do if there's a lot of this stuff still out there. I'd be interested to see if he would try to maybe do something different. But he didn't talk about it, so we really don't know what his vision would have been, truthfully. But this was probably the beginning of the end when it came to directors having a lot of control. The studio just came in and basically, like I said, nope, you're doing this. This is what we want.
Especially at Fox. Fox and Tom Rothman, who was the studio head back then, he was notorious for like being so penny pinching, and what he did for the X-Men movies early on and Fantastic Four. He didn't want to spend money on them, and he was like, yeah, you're not doing this. You're not getting your big purple robots, and you're not doing this and that. And Galactus is going to be a smoke cloud, and yeah.
Oh God! Don't remind me about the shit cloud known as Galactus. While Mike comes in, what do you guys prefer? The xenomorph coming from an ox or a dog? I'll get into that. Mike, when I get my positives. I mean, if you guys want to spoil what you guys think, go ahead. But
no, we're doing overalls right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You know that meme of Ben Affleck's standing on the sidewalk with a cigarette, looking like he's over with life?
Yeah.
David Fincher working on this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But you do realize that the Ben Affleck, that picture is an everyday occurrence, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised on him. Look.
Why am I here?
He's like, God damn it.
I'm Batman.
Used to be Batman.
Goodwill Hunting.
Hello, darkness.
Dunkin' Donuts. Sorry.
Look, compared to it's. Remember when I said with Alien and Aliens, when you compared the two of them, it was like a hair difference in quality. Where they were both very good, but it was just like Alien was just. Well, when you compare Alien 3 to any of them, this is a massive step down from Alien and Aliens. The theatrical cut, and see, the sad part is Alien 3 has good ideas. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to say everything about Alien 3 was bad, because it wasn't. However, and I'm going to say this. However, for every good thing Alien 3 does, it does 5 bad, stupid ideas. 10. We'll go with what Chris said, 10. And I believe him, because there are things that this movie introduces that just doesn't work. And there is one big negative I'll bring up in my overall thoughts. This is the first time where I believe they try to do like CGI on the alien, and it's in both the theatrical and the assembly cut, because I understand the argument. Well, it's the assembly cut and it's not finished. If at that point, if it was just in the assembly cut, I would have given it somewhat of a pass, because like, okay, whatever, it's not finished. However, it's in the theatrical cut and it looks awful. Like, it is not like the practical effects look like when you see the practical alien, it looks fine. But when you see the CGI alien, oh good God, it is completely noticeable, and it's man, I really don't know what to say about Alien 3. Alien 3, I guess you could say, is a mess. And knowing the behind the scenes stuff, with David Fincher in the studio, it's not surprising that Alien 3 is a mess. The assembly cut, I will admit, is a little bit better. It does make Alien 3 a lot more palatable because it does add 30 more minutes to the movie, and it gives it a little bit more depth, and it has some altered scenes. But it's still Alien 3, and it still has the same issues as Alien 3. It's like more palatable. It's like a turd on a plate, but instead of it just being a straight turd, you maybe have like a little bit of chocolate sauce on top to maybe make it somewhat more palatable.
If that's the
gross
comparison
way of
you're
putting it.
using, yeah, if that's the comparisons you're using this week, just wait till next week.
Well, next week I'm just anticipating.
You're gonna
saying,
scare him.
I already have that expectation that I'm just gonna hate it, but I'll give it a chance. Though I'll give it a chance. All right. So overall thoughts. You already know our overall thoughts. I'm gonna go into positives, and I'm actually gonna start with Chris. What is your positives, if you have any, of Alien 3?
Well, I'll start with the first, the original cut. Again, I speak from the idea that I'm looking at what they tried to do and the positives of that, because they didn't really hit any of the markers that they were hoping to hit. But this is a very introspective look at Ripley. It is about her psyche. She has to confront the loss of two people she cares about, one especially. And again, this kind of continues a motif from the second movie where you find out her daughter dies in the director's cut. I think they cut that out of the original. But now losing Newt. Losing her, which again, the reasoning for it was really stupid because one, well, they said money, but two, I think the girl was older than they wanted her to be, and I don't know. There's a lot of stupid reasons why they didn't bring both of them back. But she has to think of that, and she's still always scared that this thing's going to get her. By this movie, and you can pretty much agree with the idea, she just thinks it's out to get her. That this is a personal vendetta. And the important thing you have to remember, though, is every one of these situations is a separate and different and unique situation. That's probably the hardest thing to remember about this. The aliens and the Queen in the second movie are not the same as what you see in the first movie. It's a separate situation, 50 years removed. And here we are again in a situation like this. So I guess the hard part to start realizing in all this is that these things must be rampant. The first and second movie kind of make it look like maybe they're not rampant. They're just kind of here and there. By this time, you're like, God, they're just everywhere. Again, Sigourney Weaver is a really big positive in this movie. She still does a really good job. I don't think she quite decided to film it, throw it and, just phone it home and say, I'm done. We can discuss that next week. I like a lot of the characters in this movie. The problem with the original cut is it doesn't flesh them out very well. The assembly cut is another thing. It actually does help character development quite a bit. I like the ending better in the assembly cut. And, for Vile, I like the Ox better, which is an assembly cut. Some people like the whole dog Rottweiler. it adds a kind of a fierceness and a ferocity, speed, all that stuff to it, and I guess it's okay. I just think the uniqueness of that ox is kind of an interesting thing. And again, we can discuss whether or not they actually did this well. But there are interesting motifs on sacrifice, mortality, inner strength again, and probably a cycle of violence and all of that. So that does that pretty well. Just again, it's not fleshed out very well in the original cut. It helps in the assembly cut. And in the assembly cut, I think the closure is better. And again, once we get to next week, we'll see how fleeting the closure of this movie is. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll stop right there.
Okay. I think the biggest positive of this movie is really the performances and the characters. I think that this movie, that's really one of the very few things this movie has going for it. Like you said, Chris, Sigourney Weaver, she was absolutely, she was great. She played the character very well. Albeit, I think some of the character's writing in this is a little suspect, to say the least. That said, I do like what they were going for to an extent. But again, I'll talk a little bit more about it in my negatives, because there's just a lot of things that this movie does with her as a character that just make me go, really? That's where we decide to go with. And that's a lot of this movie, but a lot of the ideas with her, I think, could have worked better if there was just a better movie behind it. And but unfortunately, you don't really get that. Like the whole sacrificing thing, I get what they're going for with that, and in the context of everything, it makes sense. But again, a lot of the writing is so dumb. To an extent, it just kind of, it's impactful, but not in a, oh my god, this is it's weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird in the way they do it, I guess. Because it feels like if it was, man, it's strange, I would say. Because she plays this tortured character very well, but it's almost like they don't really expand upon it, except really in the assembly cut a little bit more. But even then, they don't really go 100% full throttle with that. It's just kind of half-assed. The side characters, I think, are pretty good. I think Dylan's probably one of the better ones. He's not really redeemable, but he's this preacher character. He's the leader, and he's I'm not a good person.
Yeah, I mean, but is anybody redeemable on a prison colony planet, basically?
No. Okay,
I mean,
I like the continuity of that. I like him as a character. A lot of the other characters themselves are fine, but again, it's kind of the same problem as in the other Alien movies, where a lot of the side characters, they're memorable, but they're not oh my god, I'm going to remember their names tomorrow. You know what I mean? Dylan, I remember, and that was kind of it. Everybody else was there. They're just kind of crazy. I did like some of the kills in this movie. That first one, especially, where the xenomorph that spit acid into the one guy's face and he went into the fan. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty gruesome. I did like like there are just individual scenes that I did enjoy from this movie, like Ripley having to basically ask the doctor, like, hey, you need to rip open Newt's corpse because like there could be a chest burster or an alien inside her. But it in reality it's or she said it was cholera, but we all know what she really meant. And I did like that scene with her and Bishop at like when she's like, hey, what the hell happened? And like giving Bishop some sort of closure. I at least appreciate that. Since the other two characters couldn't get it, I guess Bishop, sure. I mean, he was cool. The third act of the movie where like you see the alien chasing like everybody in that first person view, I thought was interesting. But again, that also maybe helped the fact that the CGI alien looked terrible. So maybe seeing less of the CGI alien made it more palatable. And seeing the alien kind of be defeated in like an actual interesting way with like hot lead being poured on it and then like putting like all like the cold water causing it to explode. Like at least that's more creative than throwing it down in like a airlock. Like at least I'll give it that. It's a bit more inventive. And the sacrifice, like with the scene itself, with like Bishop like being revealed, like Bishop was, kind of resembled the guy that's with the company. I like that, and I do appreciate this movie trying to go back to more of a sci-fi horror, quote unquote. But I put that's also gonna be a big negative on that. But I like that they try to go back to basics, not bring in guns because they're in a prison, which that makes sense. I mean, I guess. And the set design for what it was okay. Like I wouldn't say it's not anything special to look at. And honestly, I prefer the ox over the dog because I'm sorry. I understand it's a horror movie, but seeing a dog kind of like have like a alien burst out of it wasn't my cup of tea. Like that was just a little too much for me. And this movie does a lot of things that try to push the envelope and be very weird. It just kind of was like I really don't appreciate what they were going for, especially in the theatrical cut. But and this is more of a positive with the assembly cut, like with some of the altered scenes and like giving like some of the other characters like different like motivations. Like I think like that one guy that let the alien out, like that was interesting, and I did like how the assembly cut gave it a little bit more of a whatchamacallit. It gave it a little bit more of like depth to the other prisoners to make you somewhat like care for them, because in the theatrical cut you don't really get a lot of time in with them. It's just like some of the individual scenes work, but this is kind of going to be like my last thing I want to say about this is like the individual ideas and scenes work. As a movie, it doesn't really flow well, in my opinion, which again, I'll talk about in my negatives. Vile Mike, no, that's fine, man. I get it. You're driving home. You're coming home from work. It's perfectly fine. Vile Mike comes in. Assembly cut is better than the theatrical cut, but he prefers the dog over the ox because of the way the CGI alien moves. It's more agile than aliens before, more dog-like. I could see that.
Like I said, I was just going to say, like I said, I understand what they thought they were going for in the dog, but if you read the book, I believe it's an ox in the book, isn't it?
Maybe I do. I think Shifty might know better than both of us.
I don't read no books.
I'm pretty sure it's the same in the book. It's an ox.
It might be. I don't know.
Maybe. Actually, there is one other positive I want to say. The ending of the movie, regardless of whatever cut, the way that it ended with Ripley's final kind of recording from the Nostromo, I thought that was like it almost felt like this movie was trying to be like, all right, this is the end. We're not making any more. Spoiler alert, they make more. So it does kind of cheap, makes the ending a little bit cheap. But I like what they were trying to say is like, oh, the last survivor of the Nostromo, like she's gone. Like it's all come full circle almost.
Well,
Like
she wasn't. She wasn't the last survivor of the Nostromo. Jonesy was.
Well, I'm just like at this juncture.
Yeah.
Like if we're going by human technicality, Ripley was the last survivor, and I get what they were going for with that. It's just a shame that everything else after that kind of makes this ending feel very cheap.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to complain about this movie to complain about it, but it's just a lot of it is very noticeable, especially in this one. But I'll talk about that when I get to my negatives. Shifty, you're up. Positives.
Okay, starting right off from the beginning. The high-pitched note that interrupts the 20th Century Fox jingle. That's the first time they did that with the Alien films, and it was great. It was great. I don't know how many more times they did that after that. I think they did it again. I think they did it for Romulus. But it's great, iconic moment. It's for all the complaints we may have, we can't get around that. It was a great looking film. The cinematography was on point, and you tend to forget what the outer world looks like when you go years between viewings. It was really nice. The locales that they were using for the recovery scenes, the recovery process. I had already forgot that there was a beach because I hadn't seen it for a while, and I was like, "Oh yeah, there was a beach there, yeah." And so that was nice to go back and see that. Well, I do like the stuff with the dead ox, the banter between the guys that bring it in. I think the dog giving birth to it, even though it was a little bit too gory, it worked better as far as the design of the alien goes. It being dubbed the Runner. And the guy who died in the fan, he was he thought it was the dog, so it kind of ties back in to it should have been the dog because he's in, hey, Spike, is that you? And of course it wasn't Spike that was hiding in the air duct there. Um, Regardless, the birth of the alien cut into the cremation scene as Dylan gives his speech was really good stuff. Oh, what's Vile Mike saying now? In the novelization of Alien 3. An ox. Okay, cool stuff. Yeah, that scene where they intercut the alien giving birth during the cremation speech. That I like that a lot. I did get a chuckle at one of the kitchen workers when he found that dead face hugger and he's holding it up. He's like, "Oh, what is this, man? What the heck is it?" I wonder if he chopped it up and threw it in the stew or something. Great set design and score. I dare say better than Aliens. Now, while the score doesn't have any standout tracks like the initial nest fight and the airlock sequence in Aliens, there's more of it, and I think it's more consistent. Because there's times during Aliens, and it works better for Aliens, I guess, but it seems like sometimes it's just too quiet, But some would say that works better for the movie. Ripley holding her own when Dylan tested her in the mess hall, and she's like, "I must make you nervous." That was a great line, delivered perfectly. And Charles S. Dutton's Dylan may be the most fascinating side character in all the Alien series. I mean, it's kind of stereotypical, but in that particular setting in space, it's kind of neat. And that dude that was killing the fan, he was singing one of the best, maybe the best science fiction songs ever in the year 2525, a song that was used in the intro for the cinematic masterpiece known as Gentleman Broncos. If you haven't seen that film, go watch it. It's from the guy that gave us Napoleon Dynamite. It's a good movie. Tywin Lannister scored, so big ups to Tyrion's dad. Some really great meaty dialogue in this one. I dare say it's the best written Alien film in those respects for just, some of the banter that they have. I really liked the way that Alien delivered their dialogue to where it felt like it was improv. But this is like on the other side of the spectrum. It kind of almost feels like Andor dialogue at sometimes when they're like getting into like that scene between Clemens and the head of the prison. They're in their office talking to each other. It's really great stuff. Um, the alien all up in Ripley's face, man, that's probably one of the most iconic shots of the entire series. That and Ripley getting in the power loader and saying, "Get away from her, you bitch." That's like the two shots. The two shots, that and probably the chest burster. That's the three shots in the whole series that they go back to. The mess hall scene right after where that shit goes down. She's like, "He's here, man." That's a great scene. Also, uh, as mentioned before, the assembly cut gives so much time for the various prisoners dying, so much so that there's a completely alternate route that they take for a major plot point where they manage to capture the alien. And that one crazy guy, they lock him up in infirmary. He lets Xeno loose. I like that. Um, that's my likes for the assembly cut, but theatrical, I like I said, I like the dog. I think that worked better as the host. And in regards to the ending, while I understand why they removed it, as it's kind of dumb, but the Queen bursting through and Ripley holding on to it, I think that's also a pretty iconic scene. And I can
At
understand why
the
they used
end?
that.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I know. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean they didn't have that in the assembly cut, and I'm you got to give the fans something. I think they would really complain about the theatrical. Well, they did, but I mean, I think they really
The
would
idea
explain it.
here was and excuse me for
I get it.
jumping on this
It's
really quick.
dumb. It's
Wait, well, no. The idea was, and I understand they just wanted to show that what
yeah,
her biggest fear was actually happened, but in that moment, also she decides if it's going to take me out, I'm going to take it out. But I think the problem there was, and the reason why the assembly cut works better is just the sacrifice is more a self-sacrifice than she already knows she's going to die, kind of thing,
yeah.
kind of. Um, I mean,
But I still understand why they included it
get.
because
Oh,
I
I
mean,
get it.
yeah, I got mail. Let's see, and yeah, that's just about all of it. But yeah, I don't know. I think both endings work. I just think it is kind of dumb because she should have been dead immediately, especially if a queen popped out. But I don't know. You like I said, you got to give fans something if they sat through that movie. Like, here's your queen, and then that's the end of it.
A couple things I wanted to add before we get in our negatives. The scene where Ripley thinks that she's seeing these xenomorph and she goes to stab it, but she ends up stabbing a pipe full of the bugs. I thought that was a very nice.
Mhm.
I thought that was an interesting twist. I like that. I will say I for what they were trying, like the queen coming out of her chest at the end of the theatrical cut, it kind of makes sense because with like the way everybody with the dialogue was going, oh, you need to have kids and get married, have kids, and like in a weird fucked up way, like the queen like was really like it's technically her child in a weird sick way. So
What?
again, maybe for the weird imagery, maybe I don't know, but
Austin, Austin,
hmm,
wait till you see
yes.
next week with them thoughts. Those thoughts you just said. Just wait till next week. That's
Oh
all I'm gonna
boy.
say. Yeah. Oh
All
boy.
right. Yeah. Oh boy. Um, and Shifty, you brought it up. The score was very good. It was very like I wouldn't call it like anything that would knock my socks off, but for this, it sounded good throughout. Um, and yeah, and again, like for the most part, when it comes like this to the cinematography and stuff, like it looks good. Like that's never really been an issue in any of these Alien movies so far. But again, there's just things in here that just kind of irk me, and admittedly I did like the beginning of the movie, so it's like the beginning and admittedly the end. Even though it's a little weird and like again with the everything with the plot, but it works for what it's trying to do, and the very little things this movie does right, but it's, oh boy. Let's just get into our negatives, because I'll start with my negatives because I have quite a few. Let's talk about like one of the glaring problems. Killing Newt and Hicks and essentially Bishop in like not even the first few minutes of the movie, basically the opening scene, essentially, I thought was just really dumb. Like, yeah. I felt like was just such a waste of time to like have her save Newt only for her to die anyway. And
they weren't going to originally do that.
No, I would believe you when you say that, but the fact they decided to kill him off was stupid. There was no logic behind it other than, well, we really can't bring her back because of reasons, so fuck it, let's just kill her for shock value. That's pretty much what I would presume that was probably the case. So and then Ripley doesn't really react. Like she reacts to her dying, like she's very emotional about it. But then after that, it's just like, okay, well, I guess I got to live life again. So, okay, fuck it. Like, I think this movie could have worked a little bit better if you were going to go down that route to have like Ripley be more affected by it. She's not very affected at all by this, like towards the end. JL comes up, yeah, that sucked. What a waste of characters and potential new developments in a possible story. Yeah, exactly. I think that's another thing too, is like the way Ripley is written in this movie is just kind of ass backwards. Like even taking away from like, you know, not really being affected by everybody's deaths, like towards the end of the movie, like, you know, then she immediately sleeps with the doctor guy to avoid questions. It's like, really? It was just kind of like, it was kind of bizarre almost. And then this movie does a lot of things to try and, I almost want to say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this movie's trying to be very edgy with what it was trying to do. Like, you know, the attempted grape scene, you had the, you know, the dog, like in the theatrical cut, you have the dog being like the alien coming out of the dog. You have just a lot of things that is trying to be heavy and more edgy than probably what it should have been. And this movie tries to go back to being a sci-fi horror film. It's not very scary. Like, I didn't find it to be scary at all, as a matter of fact.
It's more mean-spirited than it is scary.
Yes. You know what, Shifty? I think that is probably the best way to say it. This movie tries to be way more mean-spirited than really it should have been. And I think that's mainly the issue. Is I don't have a problem with Ripley sacrificing herself. I don't hate the idea of the Queen being, like, you know, in her. The problem is the way they go about it is so mean-spirited that it's just kind of like, okay. Like, it's... I don't know how to describe it almost, but I think, Shifty, you said it best. It's mean-spirited. And I talked about this earlier, but the CGI on the alien looked awful. I understand it's 1992, but you had a practical alien there. I get they were trying to experiment with the CGI, but good God, does it suck? Like,
well, look,
alien.
Austin. So I don't mean to cut in, but look, the year before that was Terminator 2. 2 years before that was The Abyss. Those were like the two landmark, like super landmark CGI movies. This is like not the infancy of CG, but just when things were really taking off.
But they were doing things that
you had Tron and stuff the decade before, but
they were doing things. They were trying to do things with CG that hadn't been done before.
Yeah, exactly.
Like shadowing and shading. Before it was either clear water, which they even said had enough of a hard time doing
metallic.
That, or metallic. So they were really, the biggest problem is, and if you watch anybody who does CG, they'll tell you that the shading has to match exactly everything around it. And it looks like it stands out from what it is. Now, granted, this wasn't actually CG. A lot of this wasn't. It was just superimposed over it. Not all of it. Some of it was CG, but I'm just saying that it's like there's a lot of problems in this movie with that. And if there's anything I would say about this movie, it's that they should have gone, and sometime in the past 5-10 years, they should have just said, you know what? We're going to invest some money in this, and we're going to redo all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they can do it.
Yeah.
They can do it. I mean,
yeah, it's
anyway,
like
sorry,
it's like if you go back and watch some older movies, even from the '60s. I mean, some of the special effects, it's set in that time. You know, you just gotta get
But sometimes you look at it and when it really works out. Well, think of Star Wars. Think of the Indiana Jones film. They know what their limitations are. So how can we do it? One, and I don't mean to go off on the tangent here, but Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the minecart scene, they didn't do it in the first movie. It was supposed to be in the first movie. They didn't do it there. They got a little smarter about how to do stuff, and then they realized this works actually in our favor because it's fast paced and people can't focus long enough to know that these are little, basically stop motion like characters in a miniature minecart. There are ways to do this. It's understanding those limitations. And this movie didn't, or they just decided, screw the limitations, we're going to do it anyways. I would love to see Fox spend some money on doing proper CG on this.
Well, you also got to think maybe they knew Jurassic Park was around the corner, and maybe they wanted to beat them to the punch of like, because like the next year you had Jurassic Park and be like, oh well, let's try to do something.
They beat them to the punch so much so that the punch missed completely and circled back around and hit them.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Austin.
No, it's fine. To be honest with you, I really don't have a whole lot of actual positive stuff. Like I really don't have what I mean is I don't have a whole lot of with the negatives. I feel like you could really just sum it up with just the points that I made. It's very mean-spirited. The CGI does not look good. I also, the doctor guy, like, just immediately dying after giving his backstory, I thought was a choice. Like, I don't know why that was even considered, but okay. I think the editing and pacing is way all over the place. Like, I could forgive it in Aliens because it, was in more of an action movie and they were trying to go do many different things, but this really does feel like multiple different ideas that were just jammed in here. Like it's like, it's like children, like with the like little blocks that like you put the different shaped blocks that you put in the holes, but the toddler doesn't understand it, so they put the square in the star hole, or they try to put the square in the star hole and it doesn't fit. I think that's something I could sum up with the editing and pacing. It's way too all over the place. It's way too awkward. And honestly, it just does not work. Like, again, there's enough here to where I won't say this movie is completely bad. But with everything I just thrown in here, there's not enough. It's a massive step down. And like I said, I have my overall thoughts, and I'll say it again when we talk about our final thoughts and final grades. Comparing Alien 3 to Alien and Aliens is like it's a complete misfire and a big step down. Not necessarily in a bad way. And Joe said it best. It's a depression movie. It is a depressing movie, and maybe that's what they were going for. And if they did that, great job. But I don't know.
I mean, to that point, he's right.
Yeah.
It was meant to be that. Because, again, by this time, Ripley is sitting there going like, man, this is the third time I've woken up from this shit. And look what's happening. Again. What is going on? And that's why I said it becomes more of a thing where she's now not frightened so much as she's just resigned to, she's in this vicious loop with this thing. Like, and again, I do think the movie does a pretty good job of, and again, because of Sigourney Weaver, not anything else. If anything, David Fincher should be very happy about the performance he got out of Sigourney Weaver in this. And but she sits there and she's basically resigned to the fact that she's dead. She's going to die, and it's probably going to be at the hands of this alien. And it is, yeah, oh yeah. No, David Fincher hates this movie, but I think he hated the experience. And every director will tell you that they've had that movie. But I think it's meant to be a depressing movie.
Sure.
I think it is.
I would believe it, and I would agree with you on that. Let's see here. I think we'll go with, because I think Shifty did overall thoughts first. Chris did, I think, positive. Let's go with Shifty. Let's talk about your negatives.
Well, the hoops that they had to jump through to explain how the movie is set up with the face hugger. People debated for years, like, oh well, how did the queen do? Was she carrying the eggs with her with some of her extra arms, or when she was coming up through that that elevator chute at the end of Aliens, or could she just give birth to them right on the spot and she just smacked them on the wall, or I don't know. It's awfully weird. Them killing off Newton Hicks was dumb, super dumb. Revealing that the Sulaco's computer had a British voice, I was like, what? That I mean, everybody's English on it. I mean, everybody's sounds American on the ship, and they have a British voice for the computer. Newt in the intro didn't look like the actress, but did during the autopsy scene, so that was kind of weird. I don't know. The rock music in the essay scene was like the only instance of rock music in the entire series outside of maybe AVP2. And while it fit, it also stood out like a sore thumb. Also, regarding that scene, Dylan's awesome. We probably didn't need that scene, but I mean, it's a prison story, and she's a female and going down there, so something like that was bound to happen. But it gave both of them a chance to get the upper hand and beat some people up. And I wish they got a little bit more of the hits in on them, but yeah, I think the first half or so of the movie is better than the second, as the second half just basically rehashes the first film. While the assembly cut is better for the most part, it isn't so much a dislike as it is a nitpick. They really couldn't do much about while adding the alternate scenes back in, which caused two instances of characters repeating lines, such as Ripley stating the alien won't kill her as she's carrying its future. And the second is that second in command guy, he states that he has wife and kids twice, like he says it to Ripley, and then there's a scene, and then they have their big meeting in the assembly cut, and he says the same thing to everybody else. Even with all the extra time added back in that gives spotlight to so many of the prisoners, there's still a few near the end that just seemingly pop up out of nowhere. That I'm like, whoa, where did this guy come from? I don't remember him, and that happened a couple of times towards the end. But I think I like the movie more than you guys do. I think it's totally unnecessary. It was unnecessary, and they went with a bad story. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like it more and more each time I watch it. So, yeah.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things where maybe I have to watch it multiple times to understand it. But since this is technically
you understand it perfectly well. I don't know. It's just growing on me to see. I lived through the initial rage of that era when it came out, and why fans were so adamant that they tried to reboot it and bring it back, and then that sort of blew up in their faces, and then they had to go to AVP, and I lived through all of that, so I know how pissed off people were, and I was one of those fans. So now I'm just gradually going back and like, well, maybe that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought because we got worse stuff later on. So
Sure. I think maybe I misconstrued myself. I think what I should have said was maybe I need to watch it a few more times to like maybe fully appreciate it. But since this is technically my second time watching it, like again, I do admit that the assembly cut makes it more palatable and more watchable, and there are things in it that make it better. I just think as a whole, your story isn't great, and it's that sadly holds this movie back heavily. And then some of the creative decisions are just kind of bizarre. That's why I'm just kind of like, nah, it's not a bad movie. It's one of those movies that does kind of like make you go, ugh.
I think after next week, you may be appreciating it more. You might
Maybe.
appreciate it more after you see the prequels. You may appreciate it more because there's a lot of people. The prequels are kind of love it or hate it for a lot of people. So we'll have to see.
Oh, sure. I mean, again, since these are my first time really watching these movies, maybe I will like this. It's just my initial thoughts, right? Like this is just my initial first time viewing. Like maybe my thoughts will change over time, but as it stands, like because I haven't seen Alien Resurrection, and I'll take your word for that it's not good. Most people say it's bad, so I'll take your word for it. But be it as it may, this one's still not great. I guess that's maybe what I'm trying more the roundabout way. Bottom comes in 90% of the time when the people that hold the money strings get involved instead of trusting their people, directors, actors, etc., the movie sucks. Yeah. Pretty much most of the time when that happens. Yeah. Especially a lot of those like older superhero movies, like when studios try to get involved, it never ends well. And Mike says, making me feel old as I do remember complaining about this movie on old message boards and reading fanfics that rewrote the movie. I mean, hey, sometimes fanfics can make a movie better.
Yeah, ask Austinator, especially with SpongeBob.
Shut up. If I had the clip, I would Phantom Zone you right now, but I don't. Thanks, StreamYard.
I will offer up my StreamYard to you so you can bring back your clips.
I might take you up on that, Chris. I might take you up on that.
Do it next week. Do it next week because there's a clip I want him to use for next week during Alien Resurrection because there's one scene that'd be perfect for a clip from Heat involving Mr. What's his face, Tony Montana, where he says that she had a great. Yeah, she had a great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's next week though.
Vile Mike comes in. I will say this: Alien 3 is better than many sci-fi films, but is probably the worst of the Alien franchise.
No. Mm-hmm. I don't know about that, man. We got Resurrection. We got AVP Requiem. We got bits of man. But I don't know about that.
Group think filmmaking is the Achilles heel of Hollywood. So sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But that's more the studios, though. Chris, negatives.
Well, I mean, we could bring up the CGI, lack thereof, the non-understanding of it. I'm going to say this is the big negative. Not being able to understand your audience, and I'm speaking about the studio, not David Fincher. I don't blame anything of this on David Fincher. But one, not understanding your audience. Two, the killing of Newt and
Hicks,
thank you. Now, granted, 6 years after Alien 2 or Aliens, and she's only acted in one other movie other than Aliens, and that happened in 2020, I think it was. the actress who played Newt. And she didn't really have a want to do it. But, oh man, I don't know. I just say it wasn't understanding the audience. I think it's the studio interference. That's the negative of this whole film. Do we know that David Fincher would have landed it? Do we know that it would have been a better film had they stayed out of it? No, we don't. But the makings of a good movie are there. And I think this is a very important thing. It's that whole thing of what was it in Fast and Furious. Doesn't matter if you win by a mile or an inch. It doesn't. It doesn't matter if you miss it. Because when you miss it, it's going to be very noticeable. But if you land it, you land a movie, even when it's not the best movie, people don't normally look at the negatives. But this movie, you can tell all the directions it was being pulled. There was no cohesive thought behind it. And what does come across as decent is by sheer luck. Again, disappointing start, a mediocre script. If you go with the theatrical cut, bad visual effects. Again, studio interference. The pacing and tension is not that great. Plot holes. How did the egg get on the escape pod? I mean, because. I mean, it's like that. And then if you go over to the assembly cut, it's still pacing problems. It's a little better paced, but it's not great still. They went back 2003 and did that. I would have thought that they could have upped the special effects a little more, but they didn't. So again, still bad special effects. It can be confusing at times. And I don't know. But of the two, the assembly cut comes across a little better. But this movie probably would have been somewhere if the studio had stayed out of it, it would have been somewhere a little lower than Aliens, in my opinion. Again, Aliens and Alien, there's people that go on one side or the other. Either you really like Aliens or you really like Alien. Like it's I'm on this side or that side. This one probably, if they had stayed out of it, would have been slightly lower than both of those, but not by much. The makings of a good movie were here, and it shows you what studio interference does. And again, I think this is when they started to do that. This is when it really became apparent what studio interference could do. That's the big negative. This studio interference.
I think we all pretty much covered all the bad points, and it just really comes down to, and you know what, you guys bring up a good point about that opening when it comes to the alien eggs. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because did nobody think to do one quick check to make sure that nothing was on that ship? Before they went.
Well, it's not even that. You kill the queen. Yeah. You've killed. Put it this way: if you watch Aliens, you're pretty sure that everything that had to do with the aliens on that ship or on that planet are done.
Right.
And then in this movie, no, we're gonna throw one in there just because. Why not?
2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 2. Sorry. It's still,
we got to make the movie make sense.
Well, again, and if any alien survived enough to leave eggs, would they not have just cracked the thing open and killed them right then and put the host in them? Why bother? I get it. Yeah, you can go down that road and it gets muddy very quickly.
Oh, sure. Vile Mike comes in. Killing off Newton Hicks was probably needed to make Ripley more alone. I think it was more of how they did it.
Well, so Hicks, they were originally one of the first drafts was that they were going to put Ripley in a coma and basically make Hicks the hero. And the studio was worried about switching a hero. And again, so much so that they were scared of changing the hero from Ripley to Hicks that they made another movie. The next movie we're going to watch is that's how scared they were to let go of Ripley. They were afraid that it was going to hurt them. As long as you didn't kill off Ripley, I think it could have worked. Or Ripley is out of it for the first part, and then you bring her back, and it works because then they team up and they do it. But there were a lot of things about the killing off because it's literally, again, it's a down point right from the beginning. Where's the girl and where's the guy? Oh, they're dead. That's literally about how much time they spend on it. Like, oh, they're dead. Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Let's just move on. Great, they're dead. I'm alive. Let's just move on. It's like she has emotion. She does. But they don't give enough time really for that emotion. What really is again, this is Ripley. This is a woman who lost her daughter in the last movie, found a girl that she attaches to like a mother because she's lost her daughter, and she feels this deep maternal instinct to protect Newt in the second movie. And you spend all of about 5 minutes. She would have been half of this movie should have been the trauma of losing Newt. And they don't do that.
No.
That was the big problem with it.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. Like I think the assembly cut, I think the doctor asked her like, "Hey, is she your daughter?" And then she just responds with no. Like, I don't know if that was intended as she was trying to protect Newt in the sense of I don't know how to describe it, but the fact that she kind of just plays it off as no, like, I don't know. I didn't. That was just kind of.
The Ripley I see in this. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just really. I'm just putting it like you're saying. Oh, is she your daughter? And her going no. I thought was just like
the Ripley from the second movie from Aliens. I would have said yes, and because they don't know, they have no clue.
Sure,
doesn't mean anything to them if she was or wasn't, but she attached herself like a mother in the second movie. And again, it makes sense if you see the director's cut. Again, I think if I remember right, in the theatrical version, they don't bring up the daughter.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's very quickly, like just much like this. It's just like, whatever. But the Ripley you see in Aliens would have said yes, Newt was her daughter.
Right.
Because that's why she attaches to her. Because it gives her back something she lost. Because again, what you see in the director's cut, she's just devastated that she's lost her daughter. That she didn't get to see her before she died. And then she just so happens to find this girl on this planet who lost her family. And they both have this instant bond because there's a mother who needs a daughter and there's a daughter who needs a mother. And again, the way this movie treats that dynamic is insensitive, horribly insensitive.
Agreed. Yeah. Vile Mike comes in. I remember reading one of the fanfics back in the day, and they had Newt and Hicks survive, but Hicks is killed by the alien, and Newt is killed by a prisoner. Interesting. Joe says, I read a theory online was that maybe Bishop put the egg there. I don't know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense either.
Because he was ripped in half.
Yeah, let's say how did he do that?
Yeah.
And why? Because again, okay, let's play that. Yeah, they did have a million rewrites. Let's go ahead and go down that road really quick. The thing about him in the Bishop, the thing about Bishop in the second movie is they've kind of taken out all those quirks and the bad side of it that made it. Well, basically, the android in the first movie is it? What's the name of the android in the first movie?
Ash.
Thank you.
Ash
is, and again, go figure, about 10 years after the fact, Ash is basically HAL 9000. It isn't like he's an evil character. He just only sees the end mission. So then when they go and make Bishop has reasoning skills. It understands that the human life is more important maybe than the final mission. So there's that side of it. So Bishop, if you write into it that Bishop put the egg there, that makes no sense. What's the point then? Why would that android that had those qualifications or those characteristics in the second movie, why would he do that in between these movies? Makes no sense. Even if he could do it.
Yeah, but it makes no sense logically because first he's ripped in half. Okay, if they're saying they did it before he got ripped in half, he would have to go to the ship, the derelict ship, or to the hive to get an alien egg and carry it. How is he going to keep the facehugger from coming out of the egg? He's got to carry that sucker. That's not possible at all.
I disagree. Ripley would have said, no, she's not my daughter, but in an emotional, direct way that would make the doctor ask, are you sure? That could have worked, but they don't do that, though. So it's kind of...
No, I'm sorry. I'll disagree with Vile on this. Not that I'm saying he's wrong. I'm going to disagree with him on this.
Okay.
Where would he get the egg, though? There's no... he would have to go to the hive or to the derelict ship. And he didn't go to the derelict ship. I mean, he didn't go to the hive either.
Paul Reiser, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think that plays out that way. Again, that you can come up with a million reasons. They don't give you a reason why it's done.
I got it. What if a certain character from Alien Covenant was hiding out on a planet and then he got up on the board and then he had one of his eggs and he put it up there and he... Yeah, I'm just joking.
You are going in wow. That's a trip to Branson. I can't even take it. I'm like just north of Branson.
Well, actually, when we get there, we'll have some conversations because that's kind of where things were going from what Ridley said. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I can't wait till we get there. I was telling Austin those two prequel episodes are going to be the best episodes of this series because there's so many interviews with Ridley of stuff he said that actually happened to film, didn't happen to film, things he's flip-flopped on, things he was planning that they didn't get to do. It's going to be just the best conversation in the world. I'm telling you. Stay tuned, folks. It's going to get interesting.
Yep.
I mean, we still got a couple more weeks. Or no, because we got Alien Resurrection next, and then that would be Prometheus the following week. So we basically have 2 weeks until we get to Prometheus.
Is it Resurrection then Prometheus?
And then Covenant.
Yeah, because there was
wow. Because Resurrection came out in what year?
97.
Yeah, so man, we had like what, 20, 30 years, 20 years?
Well, the AVP films came out between those.
Well,
the what?
In terms of
AVP and AVP 2 came out.
Yeah, but again, we've talked about that doesn't play into this. Whether or not it's the xenomorph.
If we're going by individual Alien movies, there's a huge gap in between Resurrection and
97 to 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, there's a massive gap. Same thing with Predator. Like Predator went through the same problem. Like after Predator 2, the next Predator movie, individual Predator movie, didn't come out till 2010. So it's another massive gap. And from what I've seen, from what I heard, the 2000s and 2010s really weren't that kind to Alien and Predator, if you really like want to go technical about it. But that's another story for another day. But having said all of this, we've talked everything we probably could talk about with Alien 3. Let's go into our final thoughts and grades. I'm going to start with Chris. What is your final thoughts and your final grades? If you want to give separate grades for the assembly cut and the theatrical, you can.
No,
but
I'll give a generic overall between the two, because there's not. I guess there is differences between the two, but not a whole bunch of changes. I'm gonna be very generous and give this a B-, because I see the ideas, and I can't blame Fincher for that. Again, we've seen what he's done after this, and he is a good director, I think, for the most part. And I would have been glad to see what they would have let him do if the studios hadn't been involved, which is why I said I'd love to see a director's cut of this movie if they had enough stuff left over. And if he could sit there, listen, if enough people say it, Richard Donner had no wants to go back and do the Superman 2 cut. And there just enough people did it, and enough people wanted it. Again, unfortunately, that they didn't have everything they needed to do it. That's a whole nother thing. Maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can do another set of these on Superman movies, I guess. I don't know. But I give it a B-. I feel like I'm almost. I feel like I do with the Last Jedi with this movie, in a sense, except I'm on more of the opposite side of it. Like, I just wanted so much more out of this film, and it didn't give it to me. When with The Last Jedi, I make up all that extra stuff to make it work for me. This movie, it's really hard to make up those spots because, again, one, the downer beginning right from the get-go. It's like, how can you make up for that? But there are some really interesting places they tried to take this movie. And if you take the studio interference out of it, I think perhaps you would get, again, B+, a B. Maybe not a ton better, but better. This movie is a failure of the studios. And I don't know if we'll ever know what its true potential was or could be if Fincher doesn't come back and do like a director's cut. Will that happen? Probably not. But you can always hope. So I'm going to be nice and say B-. And this is a definite masterclass on why studios just need to sit back and trust the people they're paying to do a movie. And it's gotten worse over time. Marvel's a great example that when you give it to somebody like Kevin Feige, and he had a really strong start, 10 years he went on, and it wasn't too muddled and it wasn't horrible. And as you started going along, you added more people, and they started telling him, no, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to add this. And the more cooks got in the kitchen, the worse these movies have got.
Yeah.
They just need to realize when you pay somebody to do the job, they need to stand by the product. And if it isn't good, then they need to own the product and be taken care of. James Gunn is going to be one of these cases. We're going to have to judge him on things And without going into it, since I've seen it, like I said, as many times as I have now, I think we'll be looking at Superman as still something that didn't hit the marks where it needed to hit the marks.
Okay.
And Gunn has to be held accountable for that.
Interesting.
So
does that mean you did not like the movie, Chris?
I am not going to say that I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, but I do not think. I think people who like Superman, I'll put it this way. I love Superman Returns because I think it's faithful to the first and second movie. And it feels like a third part to that movie. I love Kevin Spacey in that movie. This movie has a great Lex Luthor. Don't get me wrong. It's too many different things, too much mess, and too many things thrown at a standard audience that doesn't need to know things. And they go into, there's parts of this movie, they go into it where it wants to explain a lot to you. And it's like, it doesn't need to be explained. George Lucas 101. Do your movie, and if the fans or the crowd or the participants, the watchers, the movie watchers go with you on that journey, great. If they don't, then whatever. He didn't give any explanation of what was going on Star Wars, and people loved it because they went on that journey with him. They didn't need to know why the droids were on that ship when they first saw it or anything like that. That's the problem I think Superman's going to have. It's like, you don't need to make us feel like we're dumb. If you know enough about Superman, you know what it is. If you don't care, and you just want a movie. I digress. Anyways, back to this. Similar ideas. You have to stand by your product. And Fincher can't stand by this product because he didn't have that much of a say in it. If these were his decisions, and he's hiding from it because we found out later that he wanted to do all these different things, and none of it hit the mark. This movie would have been his fault. It's not, though. So we have no real way of knowing what this movie could have been. And that's unfortunate. So B-. Okay. And no, I don't hate this movie. I'm just critical of this movie.
Sounds like you're saying it fails the show don't tell test.
Yeah. There's a lot of places in it. It fails that badly.
And then, I'm sorry I didn't get to this comment earlier, Vile Mike, but the point is there are 1,000 ways they could have written it that makes more sense than the way they did it. No, we agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where we're kind of going in circles almost, because it's like we agree with each other. I think it's just the way we're trying to convey it that's kind of confusing, I think, everybody. So, but Vile Mike, we all agree with you. I think what we're trying to say is it probably would have been better the way you're describing it. I think it's just, it still would have been kind of weird, if that makes any sense. Let me get to Richard's 2 comments real quick. Richard says, I'd love to see Fincher give it another stab. I don't think he ever will, but I would be very interested to see how he would be able to do it.
Listen. Okay.
And then just to get to this one, it would have had a big chapter in the 90s horror / fit in nice with the 90s post-apocalyptic vibe.
Again, the Fincher thing, him taking another stab at it. It's like people want the Ayer cut of the first Suicide Squad because there's so much stuff that we've heard was cut and left out of that movie. You really have to push studios to go back because, again, the studio's going to have to crawl back to Fincher before he'll ever do this. That's why Donner did it eventually. Donner, they just, was it Universal? Or who did the original Superman movies?
Warner Brothers.
Was it Warner Brothers? Okay, I couldn't remember. Warner Brothers basically crawled to Donner and said, listen, people are dying to know what you would have done. And again, have you ever seen a Donner cut? he reuses the ending of the first movie because that was supposed to be the ending of the second movie, not the first movie. And then they had to use test footage. But he did a good job at doing it, and there's people that feel like both of them are good in their own ways. But I'm with Austinator here, though. I don't think he will.
Vile Mike, we all agree with you. I'm clipping that out. Hey, you do what you want to do, Vile Mike. I mean,
just because you clip it doesn't mean it's true.
That's true.
Because all Austinator has to say is, yeah, I said that, but to make him feel better about himself, I really didn't mean it.
That's just skating the answer, pretty much. All right.
Context is everything.
Exactly. Shifty, your final thoughts and grades on Alien 3.
The theatrical cut I haven't seen all the way through in probably decades now. I mean, I've seen like bits and pieces of it on television, but I've only stuck to the assembly cut since I got the quadrilogy back in 2003. So that's the only one I'm going to grade. I give it a B because in my total film rankings of all the films, it's Aliens, the first third of Covenant, the final ending of Covenant, and then Alien 3, and then it's downhill from there. I give it a B. So, it would for full movies it would rank third, but I think there's a lot of parts in Covenant that's probably the best Alien cinematic stuff that we've had since Aliens, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a few weeks. But hopefully you'll agree with me. But yeah, I think this is the third overall best film, the assembly cut of the films. Oh, and like I said, go get on your emulator and play Alien 3 for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. They're different games and they're both great.
You know what's funny is that the graphics in those movies or those games, they should have hired those people to do the graphics in the movie.
You know what? I think Alien would have looked better if they did get those people. I do agree with you. When it comes to final thoughts and final grades, there is one key thing I left out. I got the Alien Blu-ray. That's how I'm watching these movies. It comes with all 6. It comes with everything except for Romulus because it came out, or the box set came out a few years ago. It's the 6-film Blu-ray. Give me 1 second.
Doggy.
Puppy. Uh-oh. Chest burster's about to ready to pop out. It's gonna get him. So the first third Covenant and the last third,
or the last the ending of Covenant. Once they get rid of the alien, okay, everything that happens with David there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
What it set up, man. Oh God. But they didn't get to finish that up. I'm so pissed. It's like, you know how people are like just super pissed about Snyder and they didn't get their Justice League 2 and 3. That's how I feel about the Alien films. That is one of the biggest cliffhangers because it was supposed to tie back into and with the revelation of what they revealed in that movie. Oh my God. Like, I'm going to go on a big fanboy rant in 2 weeks. Just wait.
All right. Now that I'm back,
I'm sorry.
I just want to get my thoughts real good. No, you're fine, man. You're fine. Like I was saying, I have the Alien Blu-ray that comes with the 6 movies that doesn't come with the Romulus. Here's a key thing you should know. I don't have a Blu-ray player. I tend to watch these movies on my PlayStation because it has a Blu-ray player. I have the PS5. One key thing is with this Blu-ray, it's really fucked.
What?
And this is a common issue, and I'm going to explain why. Alien worked fine. Aliens, I had an issue where it would like get to the blue screen where it's like, oh, the piracy warning, and then it would like cut to black, and then nothing comes up. Then I had to finagle it. Alien 3, I
The
had
pressings
a
were bad.
massive issue. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then that didn't work, and then I put it into the PS3. It worked fine. So I don't know if that's necessarily the disc or if it's just the PS5 has a really sucky Blu-ray player. Could be both.
Did it come with the digital copies?
Yes.
We'll watch those.
Honestly, yeah, I probably should have, but I didn't think of it at the time. But I still have the PS3, so
cool.
I'm the same. I use PS3. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I do. That being said, as far as final grades go, before I get my final thoughts, I'm gonna kind of do what Chris did. I'm just gonna do one singular grade. I'm gonna go with what Vile Mike's grade was, and that was a C+. I don't think it's a bad movie. I want to preface that by saying it's not a terrible movie. Me saying Alien 3 is not a great movie, it doesn't mean it's an unwatchable piece of garbage. Like, it's a movie that I feel like it's one of those movies that has an acquired taste to it. I think if you watch the assembly cut, a lot of people like the movie, and if you like the movie, good. There are some people that just won't like Alien 3 regardless, and that's perfectly fine. I'm one of those people where, realistically, I think this is another example of a franchise that just did one movie too many, and they probably shouldn't have done Alien 3. Or if you're going to do Alien 3,
they double down.
Yeah.
Double down.
Oh, trust me, I know they double down.
They double down.
Trust me. I know.
No. I mean, the down angle was massive, but they literally like, hey, hold our beer here, hold this, and let's show you what we really can do.
And it gets worse, but it was very common. And when you talk about studio interference, it gets worse, especially because I'm a big superhero guy. I think everyone knows this by now. But this has been a common issue with a lot of the superhero movies in the 2000s. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, studio interference. Look what happened. Amazing Spider-Man 2, and in those movies like that, what studio interference. Fantastic Four, X-Men, everybody's, and even Marvel suffering through it now.
Awesome.
I mean, it got it. Yeah. What?
Prometheus is kind of the same way. When we get to that, there's a big tug of war of what that film should be, what Ridley Scott wanted to be, what Fox wanted to be, and because it didn't perform so well, one side had to back off and give the other side a little bit more leeway. So studio was definitely all over that film, Prometheus, and I'll tell you about it in a couple weeks.
Sure. But to sum it all up, it's not a bad movie. There are things in it that work. It's just, as far as execution goes, it did not work. A lot of it, taking the bad CGI out, because that could even just be considered a nitpick at this point, even though it's a glaring issue. But you take a story that really wasn't that great to begin with, really, really dumb creative decisions, and it does not mesh well. Nothing, even with the assembly cut, which is a better version of the movie, at the same time, you're not necessarily getting the best experience. The difference, it's not like Aliens, where it's like a little difference in the quality, because they're both good. This is a definitive drop in quality. And I think for the most part, everybody will agree with that compared to Alien and Aliens, this is a massive drop off. And judging from what I've heard about Resurrection, it's only going to get worse. So leave it up to Fox, I guess. Having said that, I think that probably wraps it up because it wasn't as long as last week, but again, with a movie like this where it's not essentially terrible, but it's just not great, you're probably going to... The fact we went as long as we did, again, still kind of surprises me. Next week, however, is going to be a fucking doozy because guess what, guys? you really thought they were going to end it here, right? No, we still got 4 more movies left. And oh God, it's Alien Resurrection time. And trust me, we'll talk about that next week. Having said that, I'm going to end the poll here. Boy, oh boy, was this poll interesting. Thoughts on Alien 3? 80% said it was meh. And 20% loved it.
And this could have gone so many. I mean, we bring up what Fox has done. Again, once you find a cash cow and Alien, again, maybe that's something we can do after we go through all of these movies and all this. Go down the rabbit hole of what Alien is a part of. Die Hard, Predator, Commando, Soldier, Blade Runner 2049. What else is it? I don't
Baseball
know.
Wolves.
Yeah. There's tons of movies that tie into this universe for one reason or another. It's a cash cow. And rightfully so. I totally get it. But there's the right way to handle a cash cow, which I will say the way that George Lucas handled his cash cow with the prequels, while in a lot of ways subpar, I don't think that's because it's a subpar series. I think it's because he focused a lot more on action and look what I can do with green screen and stuff. He lost sight of that story and finding the people to help him with the story, but it's still not a bad trilogy. That's a cash cow. Let's be honest. Star Wars is a cash cow. But then you see what happens when Disney gets a hold of it. And while I like probably more than a majority of the Disney stuff, a lot of people don't. Austinator, like you. It's just... But movies that are cash cows are either going to be horrible because the studio only sees it as that, which this movie is that problem. Resurrection is that problem.
But that boy, that
Wow.
not pan out for them because that only made $47 million.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, but that's the thing. But that's what happens. You take the knife and you kill the cow. It's like that's what they did. But I mean, again,
47
studios need to learn how to let things play out naturally.
Yeah. And that I agree with. Richard Wilson comes in as a movie B- as a story C ++. Or C $. Doomed from the first 10 minutes. Yeah, those first 10 minutes really don't give this movie... It doesn't really do this movie any service, if you really think about it. Tommy, what's up, Tommy? Good to see you.
Hey, Tommy.
Minus, not $. Sorry, Richard.
Minus.
Sometimes if I see something, I go too literal. Well, guys, I think that about wraps it up for tonight when it comes to Alien 3. We will be back next week to discuss Alien Resurrection. I want to thank everybody in the chat, Richard Wilson, Tommy, Vile Mike, Joe. We appreciate you guys coming in. I want to let everybody go around the panel one more time, let everybody know where they can find themselves at. We will start with Chris Knight. Where can they find you at, sir?
Real Review 3000, Honstar YT, Chaos Central, here, there, everywhere. Go do a lot of things from the weekly wrap up to the Rule of 3, Lots of different stuff. Keep an eye on my channel. We're bringing stuff slowly and surely. Let's put it this way. It's been about a month and a half now that I have done streams. Well, longer than that if you count the Andor Roundtable. Hey, month and a half, 2 months of streaming on the days that I said I was going to stream. That's great because I don't have the problems that I was having before. So I'm so happy about that. But yeah, no, it's good to be back, and we're getting on things, doing the right things, getting all taken care of. So check me out if you're not. Subscribe to me, subscribe to these guys. And thank you for having me on, Austin. Oh boy, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I look forward to next week.
Yeah,
I might actually have to go back and watch Resurrection.
You might have to, man.
God. Hold on. While you're talking, I'm going to make sure I have that. I'm pretty sure I do.
It's on Hulu if you don't get it.
Honestly, Chris,
What?
It's on Hulu.
Oh, thanks. No, I have Hulu. But no, I have. I think I have it on here.
This is payback for you making me watch Andor, so this is my revenge.
Well, you better.
Alien Collection, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien. Have it.
How you gonna watch Alien Earth if you ain't got Hulu?
I have Hulu. I didn't say I didn't.
Okay.
Have Hulu. I said, so you just have to throw that. It's like you had to give me no out.
Oh, okay.
Actually, they're all on right now, aren't they? On Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's.
Can we discuss this for just a second here? Hulu, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. 3 completely different groups that are all working together in some weird dominating, like, oh, you can't get away from us. You may not like DC, you like Marvel, but you can get DC with your Marvel. You might ABC. Well, ABC, but they don't have just ABC stuff. They have NBC. The only thing they don't have is CBS, because CBS has Paramount. Paramount's on CBS. I have that too.
But no, the NBC stuff's on Peacock.
No, they have some NBC stuff on Hulu.
Well, see, Hulu is a catch-all.
It's a
gateway.
But it is primarily ABC stuff.
Yeah, but you can actually, get anything on it now. It's crazy. If you go down to the bottom, this is an ad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Shifty, where can they find you at, sir?
Well, you can find me on a lot of shows that Chris just mentioned on his channel and everything. And then you can find me on my channel sometimes when I'm not sleeping. I sometimes stream late at night with a gaming stream called The Late Shift. But I don't do that much because I like to sleep. You can find me on X, and you can find me Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. on Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective and Vinny Arts channels for Collectible Past Toy Show. It's 3 hours of talking about toys from the 60s all the way up till today. It's a lot of fun. And that's about it. Thanks for having me. And maybe someday later on, wrestling might not suck anymore.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps.
But until then, I'm just content watching Alien. 4 is... Oh, Richard likes 4. Or Alien Resurrection.
I think he's being facetious.
He's either facetious or he's telling the truth. We don't know. The most tragic story is the fact that James Cameron was writing Alien 5 to be directed by Scott, and instead Fox decided on AVP, or Alien 3 to be directed by Ridley Scott, and instead Fox decided on AVP. Great show, guys. Oh, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it, sir. So bad it's good.
I don't think that statement has ever been said about that movie.
I don't know. My friend John said it's so bad it's good. So I don't know. Maybe now that time has passed. Maybe people just think it's just a guilty pleasure. I don't know. But We'll see, though. We'll see. You can find me on my channel next, for these Alien Roundtables, heading to Alien Earth. You can find me on the weekly wrap-up sometimes, depending on what's going on the Real Review 3000, Chris Knight's channel. You can find me on the Hang On the Basso Scenarios channel, typically on Wednesdays if I'm not busy. And you can find me on Robert Storm's channel for Storm's Nation, After Storms Live. Again, if internet's working decently. But yeah, with that being said, everybody's channels are in the descriptions. I know Anzo couldn't make it tonight because I think he went to go see Superman. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week to discuss Alien Resurrection. Having said that,
that's what he gets. That's his punishment. So he has to come back for that one.
Indeed. Well, that about does it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. This is the Ostinator signing out. Peace.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's game over.